Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves another video over here from the Nigerian perspective, and this is going to be tackling one of the most hotly contested topics that we're going to be having in the upcoming months, and maybe years, anime. Yes, anime in the gacha space, because some developers are making some very big moves, and one of the biggest moves that Wuthering Waves has been making is their own in-house studio, Kuro on Road, and their own anime featuring some of the most favorite Wuthering Waves characters on the cast. And naturally, we all know that the gacha space, well, it's had news of an anime for a big IP that just doesn't really seem to be progressing, and I do think that this dynamic, this struggle, this competition is going to be what's focused on over here in this video. Excited to see how it pans out, and of course, the takes that are going to be shared, because we've already seen some wild responses in the space. People already try to say Kuro's plagiarizing, when in reality, they're just jealous. So let's go ahead, let's check this one out and see how the cookie's crumbling on this one.
On September 16, 2022, we got something in the gacha space involving a very particular game. Something that, although it's always felt possible, never really felt like we'd actually get to see. Especially for a game like this. And that was the announcement teaser for the Genshin Impact anime. And
y'all got baited, didn't you? Yep. He fucking got you guys. Yep, he fucking got you guys, didn't he?
To say that it generated an insane, almost unbelievable amount of hype would be a massive understatement.
That's a good intro. That's a good intro.
I mean, even though we've still barely heard anything about the anime right now, years later, the amount of excitement and discussion surrounding it has always been enormous. So much so, in fact, that the conversation was reignited just a couple of months ago.
Guys, this is basically like, you guys know, like, the meme where it's like soon and then trademark, and it's been used so many times for so many games. It's coming out soon, right? So much that it's getting like fucking memed. And this is what this feels like over here, because they announcing something super early is one of the worst business decisions a company can make. Because the earlier you announce something and the later it releases, the worse the game is going to be received. Or really, the anime, the IP, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anything that ends up getting giga delayed oftentimes just ends up being not good. And one of the biggest examples, you guys know Duke Nukem Forever? Y'all know Duke Nukem Forever? Y'all remember that game? Bro, that shit was in development for like 30 fucking years. And it was released and it was so bad, it was crazy.
See, around February, in the year of our Lord and Savior 2026, the Genshin Impact anime once again became a major topic of discussion.
And what people say about those games is that they're in dev hell. They're in dev hell. And that's what I feel like is going on with the Genshin anime. It's in dev hell. And the reason for it is I feel like Genshin keeps rewriting the story, retconning it. And one of the big things that I've said is this. This is one of the reasons for why Genshin anime is never going to be released. Bro. It's because they're adding, like, spaceships to the fucking game, bro. Bro, Mappa's probably like looking like UFO Table's probably looking at this and asking, what the fuck is wrong with you? Bro, this is not what we talked about in 2022. What do you mean you want spaceships, you dumb bitches? Bro, this is gonna add like 2 years back to the drawing board, you dumb cunts. What do you mean they're made by dragons? You said the DJ boards in that land were made by dragons. Now they made spaceships too? You said the dragons made the bikes. What the fuck? What else did the dragons make? Just tell us now! So we can prep for it at least. What else are they gonna make? That's probably how the discussion's going internally, right? So, like, I don't really see that the game's gonna come out anytime soon. That's my personal take on it.
Although a lot of that discussion echoed the same excitement we saw when the anime was first announced, this time there was one major difference. Another game entered the conversation, and that game was Wuthering Waves. With the main points being that despite all the success Wuthering Waves had achieved, despite all the accolades it had amassed over the years, there was still no sign of a Wuthering Waves anime. In fact,
this is the thing. Genshin Impact's anime, right, was actually, yeah, kind of announced 2 years into the game's release. Yeah, 2022. Wuwa's is coming out as a still in the same, like, sort of time frame, but Wuwa's feels like it's closer to releasing than Genshin's. Genshin got a fucking 4-year head start, and it feels like Wuthering Waves' anime is coming out sooner.
In fact, the longer time went on, the more it started to feel like we might never get one. But then a couple of months later, just a couple of days ago from the time I'm making this video, say it with me ladies and gentlemen, the devs listened. Because not only did we suddenly see this mysterious new Twitter account associated with Wuthering Waves called Wuthering Waves on Road, but we also got our very first teaser trailer for the upcoming Wuthering Waves anime.
Yep.
Wuthering Waves Elysium. And just like the Genshin trailer all those years ago, this trailer was short, beautifully animated, and most importantly, it immediately became the center of discussion. And while yes, we cannot agree that this gives the Wuthering Waves community yet
this is actually how they started off the trailer. They be out there showing them grippers, bro.
another one-up in the never-ending
yeah, I assure you, dear viewers, for the plot
debates. There is still one very important question we have to ask. Whether talking about the Genshin Impact anime announced all those years ago, or the Wuthering Waves anime announced just recently, what could these anime actually be about? What story could they tell that would make us just as invested in the anime as we are in the games themselves?
I think this is sort of the issue with the Genshin Impact anime versus the Wuthering Waves anime. People have no fucking clue what this thing is supposed to be about. People have no idea what plot they want to follow. Are they just going to go from like region to region? Is it going to be a prequel? Is it going to be a sequel? What the fuck is this supposed to be? Nobody knows. But people are already somewhat aware of what's going to be happening in the Wuwa anime. Why? Because you already see over here Cardathea with like what people assume to be her adopted sister going to Lilyland. So people are already under the impression, oh, the characters are just going to get like some additional backstory. Some of the most popular units in the game are just going to get additional backstory. And when they show the actual like Elysium like look, right? Like the actual the thing over here, well, you already know who the characters are going to be and the backstories. And so naturally, there's a lot of missing holes, right? In the journey that these characters take, right? Maybe Imith in school. Maybe Imith when she's back from being dead, right? Scene, how she became the Sentinel, right? Like history of her, like her and Rover and the Lord Arbiter back in the day, right? There's so much stuff that can be talked about just from like who you know is going to be focused on in the story, right? There's so much stuff. And the end result is, guys, it feels so much closer to reality than anything Genshin is putting out. Because you at least have an idea of where the focus is supposed to be.
What story could they tell that would make us just as invested in the anime as we are in the games themselves? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So if you're into this kind of content, make sure to leave a like. And what are your thoughts on Wuthering Waves Elysium? What do you think about the trailer? What part of the game story do you think the anime should adapt? Tell me your thoughts and more in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you can be on any of my future videos. Before we
He must have too much fun doing that.
get into it,
That must be the highlight of his day. I'm just gonna go on and say some fucking gibberish.
if we're going to talk about this anime, especially what Wuthering Waves could cover, and more importantly, what would make for the most entertaining story, I think there are two main directions this anime could take. Directions which, in my opinion, range from the most predictable and least interesting routes all the way to the absolute best direction you could possibly choose.
Okay. He's doing a little bit of theory crafting over here. Let's see.
The first route, and honestly the most boring one, is simply giving us an anime adaptation for the game as we've already experienced this. Now,
And that's what I feel like a lot of people are expecting for Genshin Impact. Because there's so little actually known about what Genshin is doing, guys, that people just think they're going to redo all the stories from everything we've had so far.
this almost certainly is not going to be the case, if for no other reason than what we've already seen in the trailer itself. I mean, there's pretty strong evidence online, from sources as reliable as even Fat Fluffy Penguin, that the region featured in this trailer is actually Lilyland.
I said this as much myself. Lilyland is essentially an unvisited version of Renacida that, like, well, as you can see, it looks like a fairy tale land. And just so you know, in lore, Alto and Brant went here together just by themselves on a bit. They're gay.
And in case you're not aware, Lilyland,
Like, you hear about two dudes going on a vacation here by themselves. They're gay as hell, bro. Bro, this is like the gayest place two dudes could go ever. Just saying. Like, you can't even play with that.
is yet another sub-region in Renacita, much like Reguna and Septimons. And more importantly, it's a place that we did not get to visit in-game while we were still in Renacita.
And that's what I think is the big part. Them intentionally designing the anime to fill in the gaps of what goes on in-game is perfect. Because then the anime draws you to the game, and then the game draws you to the anime. Much like how a collab is supposed to work. A collab is supposed to make you want to engage with the other IPs. And share, right, the viewership, share, like, the growth and all of that. And the Cyberpunk one for Wuthering Waves is a great example of a collab being done well. So many people that played Woo-Wah going to go play Cyberpunk 2077, watch Edgerunners, and then Season 2, right? And there's so many people that didn't know about Woo-Wah but knew about Cyberpunk. Wanted to try out Woo-Wah. It's just like that. And in a similar vein, there would be some people that watch this animated series without knowing what Wuthering Waves is, and they're like, wait, there's a whole ass game? Wait, this bitch died? Wait, she got a gun down? Shit. Let me go check that out.
But even if we entertain the headcanon that the trailer could still somehow reflect the story we've already experienced, there is still one question that I think most of you probably have. Why do I think this would be a boring approach? And this question is very interesting because when we talk about the Genshin Impact anime, my opinion is actually the
Bro actually knows.
complete opposites. I think having an anime that simply retells everything we've already gone through with the Traveler would actually be incredibly exciting. So why the contradiction? Why do I
Wait, he thinks the Genshin one would be exciting?
want Genshin to retell its story but not Wuthering Waves? And see, it all comes down to one simple thing.
Genshin's story sucks dick. You know what? You're actually right, because you know nobody actually listened to this shit because it's like interjected by Paimon 90% of the time. Yeah, no. So like, no, your actual experience of the story is not good because the story experience is legitimately bad in this game. And so if you actually got the main plot points told by competent writers, then maybe it would be good. I can already see the point he's coming from. The presentation and the style of storytelling is so dog shit in the actual Genshin game. Nothing like Woo-Wah, where having a studio of actual writers fix the story by making it like actually enjoyable would improve Genshin as a whole. I see what he's talking about here.
Our experience with both stories. See, I think one thing we can all agree on, regardless of where we stand in the Genshin Impact versus Wuthering Waves debate, is that both games tell phenomenal stories. I mean, regardless of how you feel about either game, regardless of how you think they became as popular as they are, one thing we can all agree on is that these games haven't just amassed a massive audience, they have also sustained them. And you simply don't do that unless you're doing something right. And I think one of the biggest things that both games got right is their storytelling. I mean, the conversations that these stories create, the deep lore woven into them, and by extension, the worlds themselves. These are the things that have kept players invested for years. But where the conversation becomes a lot more interesting is when we stop talking about what these games tell and instead start talking about how they tell it.
Yeah, so I don't think storytelling is the right word to use here. I think you might say that like the story arc and the story plot points are good, but the storytelling in Genshin is undeniably the worst in the gacha space. Because that's what we're focusing on here. He's talking about how badly they tell the story, but he used storytelling before. So just wanted to clarify that. I think it means like the plot points, the overarching the synopsis is good. If you read the summary on Wikipedia of this story, you'd be like, oh, that sounds like a good one. But in the actual practice, you're like, oh, what am I experiencing right now? This is ass.
Because in the same way we can all agree that both games tell phenomenal stories, I also think we can comfortably come to another conclusion. That one of these games tell a story a hell of a lot better than the other. Because see, as someone who's been playing Genshin Impact literally since day one, and I've stuck with this all the way to right now, one thing I can confidently tell you, and something you probably already noticed yourself if you played for that long, is that yes, Genshin Impact has always had a phenomenal story. But where it has always lacked for the longest time is a cinematic presentation. In giving a style of storytelling that is constantly engaging to the audience, one that pulls you into the moment instead of simply explaining it to you. Now, to give credit where credit is due, especially with the more recent world quest and story quests, Genshin has improved tremendously in this area. But
only after Woo-Wah's been embarrassing it, basically just like slapping it on the fucking bum, bro. Like, fucking just basically, Genshin's just been getting disciplined for the last 3 years, bro. That's all I could say. It's truly been a lesson in shame and embarrassment. It's been a lesson of being shamed into doing a better job. And I think that has like stuck. People now know Koyo needs to be embarrassed into doing a proper job. They've been capable of it the whole time. They just needed to be laughed at publicly by everybody, including Genshin's own players.
reality is, for the longest time, all the way up until Northcry, a strong cinematic presentation was something the game simply did not have, due to faults that the game demonstrated that always held us back, whether it's the fact that the game told us more things than it showed us.
Traveler, we need to go ahead and we need to ensure that Traveler, we need to go. Did you see this thing that happened right in front of you? It happened in the cutscene, but now I'm going to explain it again a third time, Traveler.
Or the classic Genshin storytelling formula of 99% dialogue and 1% cutscene. I mean, these were things that have become synonymous with the game, at least up until very recently. So imagine an anime that takes everything we've already experienced and presents it in a truly cinematic way. I mean,
basically, what I just said. Imagine if they, like, took the overarching plot of Genshin and, like, made the story not ass.
I don't know about you, but
it'd be pretty good.
To me, that would honestly feel like a breath of fresh air. I mean,
because it would be not Hoyoverse. And I think this is where truly, like, I feel like the Genshin developers, a lot of them are, like, actually somewhat dumb. And, like, it kind of feels like in a lot of ways, they're, like, designing content for them that they like, and it's stupid because they're stupid. You know what I mean? It feels like it's made for, like, a lower brow, unintelligent person. And, like, I feel like it takes an unintelligent team of, like, unintelligent people to just make this game that feels like you're dumb while you're playing it.
imagine the traveler
It's like it's made for idiots by idiots.
expressing far more emotion instead of feeling like an almost self-insert for most of the game.
And there's like a couple competent people on the team that are carrying the project solo, but it's like the implementation is all being done by mouth breathers.
Imagine emotional moments like Tepe's story in Inazuma being presented with stronger direction, better animation, a much more expressive performance. Imagine the overall story of Genshin Impact as we've already experienced it, simply being given more life. These are the kinds of things that I think not just the Genshin Impact community, but the gacha community as a whole would genuinely appreciate. But at the same time, these are exactly the kinds of things that Wuthering Waves does not need.
Because that's what people already expect from Wuthering Waves at a baseline. Bro, I bet low-key it feels like people's like interpretation is that the Genshin anime is just going to be like Genshin story told Wuwa style. And like low-key, that'd probably be better.
Much as you hear people say that Wuthering Waves is one of the best, if not the single best gacha game on the market, one of the biggest reasons behind that praise isn't just the quality of the story, it is also in the way the story is presented. I mean, if you watch any of my Wuthering Waves analysis videos, one thing you hear me say in almost every single one, regardless of whether I thought the story itself was good or bad, is that Wuthering Waves is an experience. Because in reality, it actually is. I mean, ever since the launch of version 2.0, it almost feels like the developers challenged themselves, not just to improve the writing, but to constantly improve the presentation of that writing as well. And that is exactly what we've continued to see, even up until right now that I'm making this video.
There's a reason why the game quickly took the place as like the top story game. Wuthering Waves, basically, by version 2.2, was considered the best story game out of all of the gachas. And that's just how fast it took. It really did actually just completely invade the space by storm. And then it definitely didn't help that while 2.2 was coming out, Genshin was in Natlan, and HSR was in Amphorius, and ZZZ was in Waifei Peninsula. So a lot of it is Wuwa actually having a good story, but another part of it is all other gacha games literally being in the worst story arc of their games. Nothing's been worse than Waifei Peninsula and ZZZ. Nothing's been worse than Natlan and Wuwa. Nothing's been as bad as Amphorius except Plaid Arcadia. Wait. Shit. Yeah. HSR is the one that's gotten worse. So, like, you thought they couldn't go lower, but they did.
Whether we're talking about the Kotathea quest, a quest absolutely filled with memorable moments.
Oh, he knows 2.2 was a banger too.
One whose final battle and ending cutscene remains some of the most iconic scenes in the entire game. Or the Frolova quest, which, despite being incredibly dialogue heavy, still ended up being one of the best quests Wuthering Waves has ever released. I mean, to this day, I still don't know how they managed to pull that off so well. Then we have the iMyth quest and the Cyberpunk collaboration. Two stories that had grown men and women becoming genuinely emotional on stream, to the point of being so vulnerable as to cry in front of hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of viewers. And just recently, version 3.5 somehow managed to raise the bar even higher. I mean, even while having the setback of introducing an entire nation along.
On cold back, I ain't no pussy, bro. Bro, I'm gonna be honest. Hey, this is my personal take. If you cried during the Edge Runners collab, you're a LARPer. Because that means you just don't know the Cyberpunk universe, because you're getting all emotional over shit, over like the most baby shit ever in the Cyberpunk universe. Just say, you a Cyberpunk LARPer if you cried during that, because like it's not that sad when you know what happens in Night City. If you cried, you just weren't immersed enough. You think about it that way? You just weren't immersed enough. You were still thinking like somebody living in 2026. Motherfucker, I was living in 2077. I don't give a fuck if they're dead, bro. Move on, bitch.
Telling the story. This is yet another story that many people believe is one of the best stories in.
Just saying. Just saying. Just saying.
The entirety of Wuthering Waves.
What the fuck are you saying? I thought I was pretty clear. Yeah, you a pussy.
I mean, think of it like this. The whole point of an adaptation is to elevate the presentation of an existing story.
Did you watch the anime yet? Do you want to know what I think was more sad? Main dying. You know why? Because Main didn't really know what was happening to him at the very least, and bro, like, killed his wife, basically. Like, Main's is way sadder because he kills his girlfriend. Like, I don't care about David that much. Like, David saved his girlfriend. Main killed his while he was in cyberpsychosis, bro. Like, that's what I mean. Like, why am I going to cry over David saving his girlfriend and dying in the process when Main killed his while he was schizoing out?
And while, yes, there are plenty of stories that...
And that's how I know you're a LARPer. Right? That's why I call them LARPers. Because there's way more sad shit in the story than David.
absolutely benefits from receiving that treatment. Trying to adapt to a story that already excels in the very things adaptations are meant to improve is an incredibly difficult task. And even then, you end up with the same question people are asking about the Moana live-action remake right now. What exactly is the point of this? Now, the second, and in my opinion, the significantly more interesting direction Wuthering Waves could take with this anime is to completely move away from the rover and instead focus on everybody else.
That's what I think they're going to do. And the fact that they're showing Cardathea with her sister, or what many believe to be her sister, I think that's the case.
And honestly, based on everything we've seen in the trailer so far, this really feels like the direction they're heading towards. I mean, we see Cardathea alongside another character, a character we've never actually interacted with in-game, but rather one that we may have seen briefly in passing. Because the current speculation throughout the community is that this is Cardathea's sister.
Exactly. And I really would like to see, right, almost like some anime exclusive characters that like show up for like collabs and or like not for collabs but for like events and stuff, and the expectation, right, is that like, oh, the character knows this. Like, I hope that they find a way to weave this back into the game world in like a good way and make it like an ecosystem.
Very same sister we saw at the end of the Septimon story, where we had that conversation with Cardathea about her adoptive parents and their child. And the fact that this trailer chooses to focus on a character we've barely met is, in the very least, some evidence that the anime may not simply be retelling the rover's journey. Which brings us to the obvious question, why do I think this approach is significantly more interesting?
Well, because the story's already good and I could just watch it on YouTube, and like there are people that just watch the Wuthering Waves story on YouTube and it's like, oh yeah, no, this is a great cinematic experience. It's kind of, I don't need more of what is already good and what I've already seen.
And the answer is one simple phrase: world building. Because whether we're talking about Wuthering Waves or Genshin Impact, and yes, this would also be a massive win for the Genshin Impact anime, because this is where both franchises even have the opportunity to do something truly special.
And by definition of world building, I think the best example of world building that I can imagine is, and it's going to be like, it might be a show that you've seen before, but if any of you have seen A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, that is an example of, like, world building the show. Because essentially, right, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is basically like a Game of Thrones spin-off that goes through one of the most... It takes a really long time to tell a very short story. You could have effectively made A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms one-hour episode. You could have. You could have told the entire plot of it in one-hour episode, but instead they stretch it out over like 6 or 7, really let you like see the world, the nitty-gritty, the people, how they interact, and that's the main thing, how the common people interact in that world. And so Wuthering Waves, I think, definitely has an opportunity over there to do something similar to that, right? Where it makes the world just feel more alive, more vivid, so that any future media involving that world, right, becomes a lot more interesting. And that's kind of like the point, because I bet Rinasida, you're going to want to go back and revisit it. Once they release Lilyland, you're going to be hella hyped up because you saw it in the anime, right? So on and so forth.
When you look at most of the major gacha games on the market, something interesting becomes very apparent. Despite looking, feeling, and often even matching the production quality of AAA titles, what the audience expects of these games are absolutely different from the expectations of both AAA titles or really any other form of media. I mean, think about it. In how many other forms of media do you constantly hear conversations about something like character integration, especially to the point with which you hear them in this genre?
I'm still a bro. I just hope they don't bring interaction slop to the anime. Like, if some bitch shows up and they have nothing to do with the fucking story, bro, and they're just there because it's like, I needed to see Augusta. Shut up, bitch. I hope they do the, like, League of Legends tactic of storytelling where, yes, they got a cast of 96 fucking characters, but at least you know why Yasuo and Ari are on a ship together. It's not like a dumbass fucking reason. It at least sort of makes sense. Like, at the very least, please, if you're gonna bring in other characters and stuff, just make it make sense. Like, don't, like, force a role or force dialogue on somebody just so they have screen time and then make the story worse that way. That's all I ask, because that happens a lot in Genshin, and it's happening a lot more in Wuthering Waves lately.
Many movies, TV shows, or anime are judged primarily on how often every supporting character appears. I mean, there are games that completely replace their protagonist.
Just think about Lene in the 3.3 main story quest. Bro, she had like an entire monologue about like being like talking about bro, like go do something. Like what are you out here like having like this monologue with us while like there's a fucking explosions and shit? Like go do something. Like we're busy, bitch.
Halfway through the story. There are TV series where beloved characters disappear for entire seasons. There are anime where certain characters show up only once and are never seen again. And most people don't even question any of these things. But in gacha games, it is completely different.
Yeah. They're not wrong. However, I do feel like gacha games really do need to take like more risks with like cool characters in lore that like don't necessarily show up very often. And this is my take. I wish there were more characters like Child, where they like come in and they show up like once every 2 regions, and you don't care that they're gone for like 2 fucking years. Like, you did not give a fuck that Tartaglia was gone for like 2 years, then came back in Fontaine, right? You were just excited to see him again. And that's what I mean. Just like, if you have characters like that that can reliably take on that role, that's good. There are just not a lot of characters written in that way for some reason. I think it's a good implementation because you basically got like an ace that can come in, right, and like generate hype. We got one chatter over here who's being really fucking annoying. So you've asked me like 7 times to like during this react address your point. So this is what I'm going to do. Like, you're being giga fucking annoying right now. You might be abusing your chat privileges. So I'm going to go find out if you are. Let's see, bro. Did you actually spam me so that I could read your message saying that you're wrong? That I was right and that you were just wrong the whole fucking time. Are you fucking serious? Dude, are you like... Okay, oh, you know what? This is what I'll say. I can tell you're a nice guy. Maybe you're a little bit different. I can tell you're a nice guy, but like, this is... I get it now. But do understand the stuff you're doing can be seen by other people as incredibly frustrating. Like, incredibly frustrating, and you can unintentionally make people upset. I just want to let you know that, because, like, I can tell that's not your intention. I can tell that's not your intention, right? But it's like, just like, if you have anybody out there that can, like, give you feedback, like somebody that's maybe, like, described as normal, yeah, you should consult somebody like that to give you feedback on how you communicate. To avoid situations like this in the future. Because, like, basically what I'm saying is that I think you're extremely autistic, but, like, it's, like, not in, like, a bad way, but it's, like, it feels like you're not entirely sure how your actions are leading to that frustration.
I mean, time and time again, we have seen entire communities criticize a story simply because a favorite character disappeared for a few months. We've reached points where instead of stories being judged by how emotional they are or how well they're written, they're judged instead by how many playable...
Nice taught. Guys, if somebody's like actually visibly somewhat mentally neurodivergent, I'm not going to be mean to them. I'm just mean to people that I know are not actually autistic. They're just really fucking stupid, so they have no excuse to be this dumb. Like, that's who I mean to.
Characters appear, how well those characters are integrated into the narrative, and perhaps even more importantly, what those characters are doing when the main story is over. Because yes, we are the protagonist,
and that's a really big part. What's Cardathea been doing the whole time? All I've seen Cardathea do is like get drunk at events. Is she like a degenerate that's like fucking like destroying tables and shit? Is like she banned from like every tavern in Renacida? Like, that's the stuff I want to know. You know what I mean?
We go on our own journey. We solve our own problems. But what happens when we're not there?
Like, do the locals know her?
And really, that is the kind of question I think an anime, especially a gacha game anime, can answer better than almost any other medium.
Like does scene like shapeshift into like fucking like statues and just spy on people?
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, this trailer already gives us Kotathea alongside her sister. And the last time we saw those two, they were practically strangers. So what happened? How did they end up together? What kind of relationship did they build even after the events of the game? I mean, these are stories that the anime could delve into, stories that I believe we would all collectively love to watch. And it even goes beyond just those two. I mean, this anime could finally give us deeper looks into some of our favorite characters.
Hey, you want to know who I'm upset by? Why is Yang Yang there and not Shorekeeper? Bro, them having like a Black Shores episode would have been so peak compared to whatever the fuck they're gonna do with Yang Yang. I already know that's gonna be ass.
Characters that simply never had the chance to shine in
like, bro, you could have done SK with like the fucking Camellia and the Encore and like an Alto episode, bro. It would be cinema. Like, what are we doing here, man?
I mean, take version 2.5 for example.
Like, one of my favorite parts from the 2.7 Avengers Assemble quest was the Black Shores entrance. Bro, they were funny as fuck.
Most people remember it for Philova's phenomenal story, but tucked away within that same update was Augusta's backstory. A fantastic story that told us Augusta's journey from being a nobody to the effort of Septimonths. But even with all that, even with the story being good, the writing being phenomenal, the problem was that it simply wasn't presented in a way that's made it memorable. And
yeah, the Augusta backstory was decent, but like it was kind of boring.
Really, an anime could change that completely. I mean, we could take stories like Augusta's, flesh them out, and present them in a way that leaves a lasting impact. And the possibilities don't just stop with characters. I mean, the anime itself could also...
Bro, they could literally do a mini-series on like what happened to Yuno after she came back from being forgotten, bro.
So become the perfect...
Like how she, like, I don't know, a mini episode about her and Augusta, like, I don't know, like getting back into daily life.
We're exploring the incredible lore of Wuthering Waves itself. We could explore the hair civilization,
what Shorekeeper was up to while Rover was gone for 20 fucking years,
the technologically advanced civilization that created both Tethys and Shorekeeper. We could dive deeper into the Fraxidus, the Grand Architects, the Court of Savante.
Why is Cristoforo a freak?
I mean, there's an almost...
What happened to him? What happened to her? Well, we know what happened to her. Her family died.
List. So many fascinating pieces of Wuthering Waves history that the game simply doesn't have enough time to fully explore. And
he raises some great points. And I think the main thing that this shows is that there's a lot more than that initial cast for this animated series to go, right? But we also have to keep in mind, what are the stories that are going to actually be told in-game and what's going to be told in the animated series? And then I think the sooner we can understand and sort of like delineate, right, between those two categories, well, the better predictions we can make. So that's why I feel like this first iteration over here, the sooner it comes out, the better. Because I think this is the thing. If this comes out before Genshin Impact's anime, it's going to do a lot of damage to Genshin. And of course, give Wuwa a lot of headspace. Because it's going to obviously, right, call into question, what the fuck is Hoyoverse doing? What's wrong with them at a baseline? But then also do this. Man, Kuro works fast and they keep some good promises.
The anime would be the perfect space to do exactly that. And really, the exact same thing applies to Genshin Impact. A game that arguably has even more untapped lore, the Archon War, the Canary Cataclysm, Durin, and the true story behind the dragon that terrorized Mondstadt, the Rise of Guroba, the reign of King Deshret. I mean, these are simply just a few stories that deserve entire seasons on their own. And to me, those are far more compelling and even far more valuable than simply retelling the stories we've already played through.
They ain't doing that shit. The fuck? They too lazy for that shit. Hey, go enjoy your fucking spaceships and dragons, bro.
Because if they're written well, and we consider just how rich the lore of both games already is, we might not just see Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves continue dominating in the gacha space, no. We could also very well see them become genuine forces within the anime industry as well, but that...
I truly think it all just hinges on how fast is Kuro getting out this first iteration, and how good is this first iteration going to be? Because I have high expectations for what's going to be going on moving forward. Because I don't know why Kuro would decide to do this, release a trailer about this in this time if it wasn't ready yet. They know firsthand how much negative PR Genshin is getting from their inability to actually integrate these things properly, right? And so them being the company that they are, I think they plan on doing the exact opposite. But yeah, I really do think that this is like a good framework to think about heading forward. for the anime series, and hopefully it gets you guys excited as well. Great video by Nigerian Perspective over here. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this one. Peace.